Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now. I was watching the mini documentary that you guys had put out. I don't know how long ago it was, but I was watching it and it talked about your journey and you
Yeah,
leaving Wellington and moving to,
yeah,
I believe, to Auckland in like 2022 to kind of like take the next step of your
yeah.
career. Could you describe, what it took to take that move and how difficult it was to make that decision?
I wasn't too difficult. Like I had pretty much just achieved all that you could ever achieve in a small town in Wellington. Fighting's not very big there, but I pretty much closed the chapter, and I'm like, right, I'm comfortable here, but like I'm not really looking for comfort. I need to break out of that comfort zone again, take the next level up, and that was moving to Auckland to a place where I didn't really have much family or much support, but I managed to get my roots in and made the move up and pretty much packed everything. Like for me, like I've sacrificed so much. Like I wouldn't like it was easy for me. Like it wasn't. It was like no looking back. You just burn the boats and just go. And I'm sure a lot of people do that for careers that they might chase. And yeah, I done that, no questions asked, and because I actually come up for a little bit earlier just to meet the coaches and just talk to them about what I should do with my career. And yeah, Eugene basically told me if you just looking at your skill set now, give it 2-3 years and you'll be UFC ready. If not in the UFC, you'll at least be UFC ready. And that was actually a faster time than I had put for myself. I was thinking like maybe 5 to 6 years, but he said 2 to 3 I'd be UFC ready. And yeah, it's when you hear that, it's you're not moving up was easy for sure.
Yeah, you said, you felt like maybe 5 or 6 years and he told you 2 3 years, so that kind of what that must like mentally it must have kind of like put a booster in your back, right? Like a big old battery pack just to kind of push you a little bit extra.
Yeah, yeah. So I pretty much um, made the move easy. And it was just for me, it was the only real challenge was just trying to make it to training every day because you got things like work and stuff like that. Yeah, you gotta. It's very hard to find funding to get behind you, and I didn't. I wasn't from Auckland, so I didn't really know any big businesses, or I had to do like a lot of networking to get sponsors and stuff, which I've only like kind of gotten in the recent year. That's just passed, and now that I'm already like looking at a UFC shot, um, yeah, it's if I could have got it earlier, I probably could have been a UFC ready a little bit longer ago. But yeah, it's all kind of pieced together now, and I'm here. So
To do all of that, you gotta be a hustler, man. You gotta go out there
yeah,
and grind. Was that always in you, or did you feel like you kind of learned
yeah.
that, being in Auckland?
Nah. I always knew it back when I was young. I think just looking around and seeing like people struggling and fighting, and they always talk about like, oh man, it just doesn't pay the bills. And but I was just like, surely there's a way to get amongst it. Make this a viable way of living. And I know it's out there, so I just started to set everything up. I started to set up like my YouTube, my Twitch, my TikTok. I just got everything set up so that I had a whole like backlog for people to look at and just be like, whoa, this guy's like really, really credible online. And obviously winning fights, that's the main thing before everything is you actually got to be good. But if you're good and you have the confidence to put yourself out there, people love that. That's like a twofold. It's a double win-win, and that's why I got the whole package because I can do it all. Um, and yeah, and show up on paper too with the skills.
Now, going back to entering City Kickboxing for the first time, how were those first couple of months training with people? Because a lot of these people, they're brand new to you, right?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely took like a time to warm up to the team, and also obviously the coaches as well. Also wasn't used to the training load because it's very high, and trying to balance that with a full time job, it was yeah, real stressful. It was probably, I think, my first camp here. I did trained up for the King of the Ring 8-man kickboxing tournament, and it was like the worst camp I've ever done. Even still to this day, I was just so burnt out. Yeah, I didn't even care about winning anymore, so I was just like wanted it to be over. But that I managed to win the tournament, and looking back on it now, I'm just like, man, that was nothing. Oh, that was everything compared to the training I do now. It's like easy for me. It's easy to push through the hard days, knowing that back then was way harder.
Yeah, you mentioned King of the Ring, and even before that, you've collected like so many belts. Do you lose track?
Yeah, yeah. I've lost track on how many bouts I have. I've got so much. Yeah, like they don't really mean much to me now that I think my first one or two bouts was like huge.
Hmm.
But now I've got so many, I'm just like, oh, it doesn't mean anything. Like, I just want to fight the best. As long as they let me fight the best, then I'd rather collect, heads over belts. So
And checks, right?
yeah, yeah, chicks as well, chicks for sure. But I still do it for the love of the sport.
All right.
I've had fights, pro fights, where I had to give up my pay just to have these short replacements step in to fight me as well.
Damn.
And then, I was just like happy to fight, even though I didn't get paid, or I got paid stuff all for most of my fights. I was like, I'm a big draw here in New Zealand as well. Like people go to fights just to watch me, and um, yeah, I was just fighting for free at some stage.
Damn. And let's move on to the MMA inside. I mean, you made your pro debut for a title fight at heavyweight,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
5 rounds. You win the title. How was that whole experience?
yeah, yeah. It was good. That was for me. I went to decision, but because it was my first pro MMA fight, I'd been training a long time. I basically used that time to gain like cage experience at the grappling, and just I kind of was like experimenting in there, and you'll see like a lot of my fights, like where people think I probably should have just knocked the guy out in the first round because I can do it. They almost thought it was like shameful that I made it to decision, but for me, I block out the noise and look at the bigger picture, and using that time to build my craft and practice the skills, practice the takedowns. I think I wrestled that whole fight because that's what I'd been working on the whole years, is to become an offensive threat as a wrestler as well, not coming from a wrestling background. And yeah, I just used that time to get a feel for real time squeeze, and when a guy is like defending, and realized that in that fight I had realized that I was spending more of my time trying to control the guy than actually posturing up and striking. And yeah, that was a huge takeaway. Like I would never have learned that in training, because you're not trying to murk your teammates with ground and pound in the gym. But I never knew that until I fought. So it just allowed me to gain my skills up, level up a whole lot more. And usually I can tell, like, if I'm gonna beat a guy, I don't need to um, use everything I got. I try to use the time to showcase my skills and work on other things. And that's, even though I haven't had that many fights, that's been a huge key for me to become really, really good as I am. And people were like always stunned to see me fight to my best, because they're like, "Holy shit, how did he get that good in such a short amount of time?" And that's the reason why I credit it to those fights.
Yeah, you're a very cerebral fighter just from the answer that you gave me about your first MMA pro
Yeah,
fight. And, a lot of people call you a knockout artist at the same time. And it seems like when you're a
yeah,
knockout artist, they don't really consider you a cerebral fighter. Do you see that sometimes?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think people take it for face value on the first highlight reel they see. They just see something athletic, but I'm actually setting a lot of that stuff up. Um, I'm not even using athleticism most of the time. Like I'm not even dipping into my reserves, and I'm setting these guys up with knockouts. I'm not really someone with like that crazy power, but I've got more knockouts than most people, just because I'm really good at breaking opponents down and setting them up. And yeah, you'll see it in a lot of my kickboxing fights, as well as my pro MMA fights. And yeah, I feel like so ahead of my opponents all the time.
Now, you get your chance, man, on the Contender Series in August.
Yeah,
Oh, is it September?
yeah,
Okay,
September
September.
24th. So
Okay,
I'm on week 8. Week 8.
okay, September 24th. Do you know who your opponent is? There's no word, right? So I don't want to like
Yeah,
judge or
yeah,
guess.
yeah. Yeah, I've been told who it is. I don't think they've announced it. Um, Announced who it is, but yeah, all I'll say is like I'm just gonna go through with flying colors. Like I didn't see anything that I should be worried about. I'm basically going in there to set my career up. Pretty much, I'm going in there to call my shot, to obviously impress Dana with flying colors, and just yeah, I believe like I'll be like a star standout in this year's Contender Series compared to the fighters going to compete. I think people will look at my performance and be like, "Holy, bro, this guy's the one." People only from down under know who I am. I haven't really broken out to the American market yet, but I know it's going to go crazy, and I'm just like, bro, whoever's jumping on these interviews now, whoever's getting in the picks now, like, bro, just jump on board because yeah, it's gonna go crazy.
Now going back to that documentary that I mentioned earlier, in there, I believe it's your mother that's sitting next to you on the couch, and they're watching your fights.
Yeah,
And she's talking about, dude, your mother's a legend because she said that I'm not even worried about him. I'm worried about the other dude.
yeah, yeah,
You know?
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like, I think because I've brought her along to so many of my fights, and I'm just like, with confidence, I would always tell my mum, like, nothing bad's going to happen. But if it does, just know that, and I'd rather this than anything else, uh, to bleed for the sport. I know it's not all, I know the sport for what it is. And I think a lot of people, a lot of fighters these days don't. They think it's all glitz and glam and Instagram, But I look at the deep, dark depths of this sport and I'm like, give it all. Give it all to me. The ruthlessness of it, I know it all, and yeah, I accept the sport for what it is. I could go in there and have a freak accident, or all that dark bad shit could happen to me. But because I accept it, it allows me to hit another level of mentality of just like ruthlessness, and and I get to that level in a fight, and I'm like, bro, this guy's in here thinking about his wife and kids at home. Man, I'm thinking about just killing this dude. And I almost become unrecognizable in there. And yeah, my even my family don't recognize me, and I think that's where my mum comes up with that. And yeah, it is what it is. That's what you have to take going into this fight game because it's ruthless. And an ounce of weakness. If I feel an ounce of weakness in your game where you're thinking about, my kids and family at home, you're getting a little bit soft, I'm gonna run through you. That's the worst thing you could be thinking about.
What was, you've had a lot of success in your career so far, but it's not all success. It's not all, what is it, champagne and
Yeah,
$100 bills, right? You have dark moments. Like, could you talk about a
yeah.
dark moment you went through and overcame?
Yeah, it's just like everyday struggles. I think that's what it is. Like, struggling to pay the gas and you know, uh, breaking down like your body. You're trying to. For me, sometimes I'm trying to push my body, and it's breaking down on me. I'm getting injured. I think last year, I was supposed to fight. I think a week before the Strickland fight with Israel, and I was supposed to fight in Sydney the day before they fought, and just I was in and out of the hospital for like 1, 2, 3 weeks for a staph infection, and I ended up having to get going for surgery on my shin. It's just things like that. Those are the ones that really burn me. Is when I get sick and when I get injured. Those are the ones that play on my mind a little bit and make it real hard because I feel like the world is moving forward while I'm not. And that's probably like the biggest one that's hard. I was actually in Vegas just now for doing the photos, and I had a staph infection on my face. It's just healed up, but I mean, I was only off training for like a week and a half, and man, that was playing on my mind a bit. But I think the good thing from it all is that I'm really good at excelling when things are going bad. I think everyone thinks it's like, you go straight up in a straight line, but when things are going bad, I'm very good at being optimistic and just being like, fuck it, all this bad shit might be happening to me, but I'm still gonna go in there and whoop ass, and I think that's a special ability I have because I see other people get in those same situations and they crumble, man. They crumble, and I just sit and listen to them speak, and I'm like, these guys aren't sure of themselves, I believe I set a high level for myself that even on my worst days, that they're not even going to be able to catch up. So, yeah.
And with the team that you have, you got guys that have been through everything, and you've been along for the journey for some parts of the journey, some fight weeks. You've seen them deal with like major fights, preparations, injuries, and dealing with the media and like the attention that a lot of the fighters get, the dirty side of the sport. What were some of the takeaways do you think that's going to prepare you better than someone that doesn't have that in their camp?
Yeah, I think it's just all the stuff I'm doing now. Like I was kind of trying to pretend that my life was like that, and I was doing all the media obligations. I was even putting out my own UFC embedded style videos. Putting all that. That's a lot of pressure. When you're the only guy doing that, and no one really else does that on the local scene or pro scene outside the UFC. That's a lot of pressure. People think like, oh, this guy thinks he's the man. He thinks he's going to win by doing all this stuff, and I'm just like, bro, I am going to win. I'll put all that pressure on me and show up because that's what you got to do. If you're a UFC champion, this is all like practice for that moment for when I get there, and that's the way I see it. I get to see the way Israel deals with all that, and obviously now Carlos and that as they're coming through, and I just know I'm going to be prepared for that moment because I've faked it till I make it, and I credit a lot to that. It's just I do a lot of like pretending. I pretend I'm there already, and it's just going to happen. It'll be like second nature to me.
Yeah, man. It's there's a lot of attention on you, man. You've said it earlier that a lot of people expect a lot of things out of you. When you hit that next level, and they're saying like you're the next superstar out of New Zealand, and that is a lot of pressure, but it seems like you embrace it pretty easily. Like you said, take it till you make it, right?
People shy away from the moment, bro, all the time. I see it all the time, especially from this side of the world. Oh, you see it, bro. Like Kiwis, man, they I don't know what it is, but they shy away from big time moments, and I'm like, bro, if you're gonna shy away, like give me the opportunity. Bro, let me show everyone how to do it. You know what I mean? Like, if it could be like the whole card, my whole team loses or whatever that I'm fighting on, and I'll just be like, bro, I'll just look to my brother or whoever I'm with, and I'm like, bro, watch this shit. I'm about to go in there and cook this fella. I'm gonna bring it back for our guys. I'm gonna put it on my back, and I go out there and do it. And when you do it like that, like, bro, people are just in awe. I see the way they look at me after I fight, and they're like just in awe of my performances. They're like, bro, you said it and you did it. Like, you didn't shy away from it. I don't know. It's just, I just don't care. I'm so sure of myself. I can't see who would stop me,
September 20th, man, Las Vegas. You get your chance to show everybody. Hey, I'm super excited to see what you can do. I've been watching what you've been doing, so you get the international, attention now. So all the best to you, Navajo, man.
Well, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.